What's up, YouTube? I am Jon Dabach from WPJon, and today we're going to be going over how to set up a beautiful, amazing, voluptuous, scrumptious WordPress homepage using the most common and popular theme in the entire WordPress universe, and my favorite theme, the Divi theme. The best theme in the world! Right here, right now, on WPJon.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm Jon Dabach. I've been building websites for companies and bloggers for over 10 years. Here on WPJon, I teach you everything I know about WordPress and digital marketing so you can create amazing freaking websites that make money, money, money. I have not made it a secret that I love Divi. Divi is the best. I'm going to marry it as soon as my wife leaves me for some hunky-dunky guy. I hope she doesn't leave me. I was just joking around, but now I'm kind of concerned. She has been hanging out at Starbucks a lot. I'm not so scrawny though, right? I mean, I'm not like a wimpy guy. Should definitely work out a little more. I got in shape before, but now I'm more of a pear shape than anything else. Not good. Divi is by far my favorite WordPress theme. It is a million themes in one. It gives you amazing control, and it makes setting up an amazing looking homepage great because they actually have starter templates that get you about 80 to 90% of the way there. It's an incredible, incredible plugin. It is a paid plugin. It costs about $89 a year at the time of this recording, but this is where I insert a shameless plug. Ready for shameless plug? Shameless plug! If you don't want to pay for Divi, and you don't want to pay for all these crazy plugins, and you don't want to learn how to develop themes, you can always hire me. I can just build the theme and the custom WordPress website for you. I designed hundreds of websites for people over the years, and I'm pretty fast and efficient and good at it, and I have all these pieces of software so you don't actually have to pay for them. I install them for you with my developer's license, and you save tons and tons of money. Usually, you even save more than it would be than hiring me. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Of course, if you want to just have a consultation on which plugins and themes are best for you, I can even do that for you on a 1-hour consultation basis and install things for you during that 1 hour as my client. Just let me know. Go to WPJon.com and click on the Hire Me tab at the top of the site, and we will get started with that. Shameless plug over. Bloop, bloop. If you are an amazing do-it-yourselfer, and I hope you are if you're watching this series, you'll figure out that Divi is the most flexible theme for you. The reason I love it is it's just incredibly flexible, and it can grow with your website. So as you grow, it will grow, and it's also a hugely successful theme, and that's important because you don't want a theme that's going to suddenly disappear overnight. Divi has a lifetime user license option, and I bought that years ago, so all of my sites are on the lifetime user option. It'll never expire, and Divi grows. It seems to grow in terms of user base and popularity every year, and they keep improving it every year. There are usually several updates released every year. So why that's important is if you're going to buy a theme off the shelf or you're going to use a free theme, eventually it might get a lack of support. There are great themes all over the place, like themeforest.net, or there's different other premium themes, like I think OptimizePress is one. OptimizePress is pretty good about updating, but like some of these themes on ThemeForest, they just stop being supported. So you might spend $50 or $60 on a theme thinking, hey, I got my premium theme and I'm good to go, and then suddenly a year later, poof, it's gone. And it doesn't work with your version of WordPress, and the WordPress developer isn't making any changes to it, and you're just kind of out of luck. So Divi doesn't have that problem. I've been using it since its inception, and it's always been right on top of things, and their support is great, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful community to be a part of. There are Facebook groups about it. So let's dive into how that actually works. So first of all, this is Elegant Themes, the website company that makes Divi. And what you're going to want to do is just you can buy the Divi theme by going there. By the way, you can also buy it using my affiliate link, wpjon.com/Divi. And I get a little bit of a kickback. It helps me make these tutorials for you. It doesn't cost you any extra at all. So if you are considering buying Divi, maybe click on it, be nice, and help me support this channel so I can keep making tutorials. All right, shameless little affiliate plug over. Once you have an account and once you've bought Divi, you can go under your account here under My Downloads, And here's the Divi theme. It's so popular that it's like what is front and center on their site. Obviously, Elegant Themes has other products, but they almost all became obsolete when they created the Divi theme. So you're going to click on this purple Divi theme button right here to download it. And once you click on it, it will launch a modal to save the Divi theme. You click on save to save it anywhere you'd like. And it's an installable small zip file. It downloads very quickly. It's only about 9 megabytes or so. And then we're going to upload it to our WordPress homepage. So let's head over to our WordPress homepage. Just as a reminder, this is the homepage we're using. It's test.wp.jon. I'm using a test install of WordPress. It is not an attractive looking thing. It is the default WordPress 2020 theme, and we are going to tweak the patootie out of it right now. Going into the dashboard, we're going to look at how to install this theme first and foremost. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to Appearance. And under Appearance, you'll see Themes. And the Themes tab is where all the themes are. What you're going to want to do is click on Add. Excuse me, let me get this right here. My arrows are all over the place. So you're going to want to click on Add New Theme, the little button at the top. And then once you click on Add New Theme, you're going to be presented with either looking for themes much like plugins on the WordPress repository that are free to install, or you upload a theme. Now, a lot of these themes are attractive, and if you are on a budget, I do recommend going ahead and taking a look at some of these themes. Just know that because they're free, a lot of them are unsupported, and there's not a lot of good tutorials on how to customize them, and unless it's exactly the way you want it to look, chances are you're going to need to hire a theme developer anyway to make adjustments, which is going to cost way more than just buying a premium theme to begin with. So I usually, if someone says, hey, what theme do I buy? My first and only answer is always buy the Divi theme. It's the best theme in the world. If you learn how to use it, you will become a WordPress developer overnight, or a couple weeks or a month. So it really depends how quickly you learn. But it is the best theme by far. So that's, again, another little reason why I typically go with premium themes, because adjusting one that is free is usually more expensive than just buying the premium to begin with. So from here, you click on the Upload Theme button, and then from there, you upload your Divi zip. You just click on Choose File, navigate to where you've saved Divi, hit Open, and then hit this blue and gray Install Now button. And it doesn't take very long for it to install on your website. Once it does, it's going to ask you if you want to activate the theme, which means, yes, take over my website with this new theme. And then once you click Activate, you are off and running to the races. You're going to have the Divi theme. Now, one thing I will say is it's not going to be beautiful right from the start. The default Divi install is pretty basic, but don't worry. We're going to show you, or we're going to walk together on how to make this thing really sing. So just waiting. And we're done. So you can see here it is installed successfully. And we just have to click this Activate button. And once we click Activate, we are going to be so ready. So ready. We're going to make a WordPress website so hard. We're going to do it so hard. But it's going to be easy. All right, we have the Divi theme installed. And they have Divi documentation, this little purple, bluish kind of notice. You can read through it. It's definitely helpful. It's a little dense. I won't lie. Reading the documentation on any theme is not exactly casual reading. But if you take a look at the homepage and we refresh it by hitting F5, you'll see that it is now a completely new look. You have the Divi logo up at the top, which you're going to obviously want to replace with your logo. You have your default content, and you have the pages here. So what are we going to do? We are going to learn how to use Divi and make it come alive. The best thing about Divi is that it is a visual medium. It is a visual builder. So they have something called the visual builder, and that's what we're going to use on the homepage. Right here, if you're logged into your site, on the front end of the site, you should have a little black bar at the top. That's this bar right here, and here, and here. And you'll notice in the black bar you have this Enable Visual Builder option right at the top. When you click that, magic is going to happen. you're going to launch the Divi Builder, and it's going to ask you a couple questions right from the start. So the first thing it's going to ask you is, do you want to use the default content? Do you want to build something from scratch? Or do you want to build something crazy that we kind of started out for you? You are going to be presented with a video on taking a tour of the Divi Builder. If you'd like to watch that, go for it. It is kind of just an intro to how it works. It's not super in-depth as a tutorial. Let me pause that so I don't overwrite myself with this dialogue, but it is kind of nice to see how amazing it is. So if you want to watch that, go ahead. But I'm going to click on the blue Start Building button right there. And the next question they ask is, they have these three things that pop up. Use existing content, choose a pre-made layout, or clone existing page. Clone existing page is a hugely useful thing. If you have spent a lot of time designing a page on your website with Divi and you just need to make a few modifications and it has tons of different sections and modules and stuff, cloning another page and just deleting things you don't need or adding a couple things you do need is hugely useful and saves time. You can use existing content, which in this case I don't have any existing content, so we're going to skip. So we're going to choose a pre-made layout. So when we click on that, you'll see that Divi loads in a bunch of these websites that are made, and they are gorgeous. A lot of them are beautiful right off the start. And in this particular case, we are going to be building a business coach website, and they happen to have a business coach layout pack. So if you scroll down to the business coach, another way, by the way, to find out if they have something similar to what you're looking for is just to type it in. So type in coach, and you'll see all the different layouts for coach suddenly pop up. And there's kind of two different ones. There's a life coach and a business coach. So we're going to pick one of the two to go with. I think I'm going to go with the business coach instead of the life coach. So let's click on that, and we can view, not only does it have a home page set up, but it has an about page, a blog, a contact, an events page, services. It's a whole website that they've designed for you. Obviously, you're going to need to change the content unless you are this guy's doppelganger and you are freaking out at this very moment that you look exactly like the demo content. Like, oh my God, that's me. That's me. So unless you're the doppelganger, obviously you're going to want to change the content, but this is a huge starting point. You can scroll down through this stuff and say, yes, this is all gorgeous. And keep in mind that, so you can view a live demo of the site by clicking here. It'll open in a new tab and you'll see what it looks like at full resolution. It's got this great section with different buttons. It's got these coaching services. It's got a kind of a toggle FAQ, a different blurb section. It looks like this is a testimonial section. This is a blog pull, so this is actually pulling feed from your blog, your recent blog articles. And then it's got this footer, which isn't fantastic, but it's a good starting point. It's got a little sign up for my newsletter, a contact information. It is, by all intents and purposes, a fully designed website. And this is what we're going to use to start off our website. So what we're going to do is click use this layout. Oh no, I need my username and API key. How do I do that, John? So let me show you. I'm going to go to Elegant Themes and I'll show you where the API keys are. If you go into your member area, we were there just seconds ago, and you go to your account, you'll see username and API key. Just click on your username and API key, and you'll see a bunch of APIs if you've created a bunch. And if you haven't created a bunch, there won't be a bunch. But you'll just keep scrolling down, and you'll see a pink generate API key right here. And once you click on it, you can get this API key right there. And I'm going to label this as test WPJon, and we'll just use that. We'll click to copy it. And the reason you're going to want to do this, the reason you want to label it, is you're going to want to know which API key is which in case a website goes offline, or if you're working on a customer website and they decide not to pay you for whatever reason, or you just need to deactivate them because it's too cluttery in your dashboard. You can always deactivate or delete the API key. So you can actually keep it on there without deleting it, just deactivate it, which is great for clients who are like not paying you. And then you can reactivate it once the payment goes through. Again, this is why I love Divi. It's fantastic. So we're going to copy it just by clicking on it. and we're going to paste it into this section. So you put your username in and your API key, hit submit, and once it is submitted, it's going to load in all the features. So not only does it pull in all the design that's been made for that website, it's actually pulling in all the default images that it's populated into the demo. And they've worked really hard to make sure that all those images are royalty free. So if for some reason you like the way this bearded man looks on your homepage with the little floof hair, what would you call it? It's like a little floofy thing. I'm just jealous. I mean, I wish I had a floofy thing. Let's be honest. Floofies are nice. So, but these little icons they have, and this picture over here, which is a cover image for a YouTube video, all this stuff is royalty free according to Divi. So you can use it in any way you see fit, which is really wonderful that they've gone out of their way to make sure that they're not giving you stuff that you have to then replace. If there's a beautiful image that you can use, they're like, go ahead, use it. We made sure of that. So now that it's installed, you'll see that you have in the Visual Builder all these different sections. If you hover over them, you get this little green thing, and you get a black thing, and you get another black thing, and you get a blue thing. This is the homepage. And this is how you set it up. Now, I'm going to show you Divi basics. There is a lot to cover, and I won't cover everything, but I'm going to show you kind of the 3 things that control the Divi framework and how to use them and how to adjust them. But you can dig into each one of these settings. I mean, you can add buttons and slideshows, and each one of these can be a video in and of itself. They're pretty elaborate. But you can kind of click and experiment on your own, but for all intents and purposes for this video, you're kind of 90% there, so I'm not going to futz with it too much. So the first thing you should know is that there are 3 things in Divi. There's a section, and then within a section, there's a row, and then within a row, there are modules. So it's section, row, modules. And so that's how you should think of your website. As you're scrolling down, it's like, this is a section. This is going to be what we call a hero section, a big image at the top with maybe a button to contact us. Done with that section. Next section, we're going to talk about, in this case, my coaching services. So it'll have a title, and it'll have a little subtitle, and then it'll have like boxes with all my little, services that I offer. Next section is going to be right here. We'll see, this is going to be, how do I know if I need a business coach? So kind of FAQs, and maybe I'll put a video on the side. And then there's another section down here about Anthony Briggs, and another section about testimonials and people we've worked with. And then finally, a blog section, and then a footer section. So each one has a purpose. That's a good way to think of sections. And if you look at my own blog, you'll see, or my own website, WPJon, you see I have a hero section, and then I have popular videos that are like kind of get you started. Then I have a call to action to sign up for a free course, which is what you're watching now. Then I have my recent blogs, and then in my footer, I have my most recent videos, and then a footer. So it's the way everybody kind of thinks of it, because you have to segment things. You can't just have this one long page of sections. And the good thing about having sections is you can reorder them. So if you break your website up into those sections, you can reorder them. The way to add a section is to just come over to this blue little button, and let's say you wanted to add a section, click on add a section, and there are 3 kinds. There's a regular, a specialty, and a full width. 90% of the time you're going to be using a regular section. Specialty sections are extremely rare, and the reason they exist is if you want to kind of do split columns. They're a little bit beyond the scope of this tutorial, so we won't go into it. Occasionally you will use a full width section though, like a full width image or a full width hero section. So occasionally you will use them. Let's go over the one you're going to use over 90% of the time, and that is a regular section. So the regular section, if you click on it, Divi is smart enough to know, like, okay, you have a section now. What do you want to do? You want to put a row in the section because you kind of need to put a container in for that content. So the rows, you have options. You can have a single column, or you can split it into 2, 3, 4, 5, or is that right? Yeah, 5 or 6. Or you can split it not evenly. So these are 60-40 splits, 70-30 splits, and then 25-75 splits. The most common for blogs is to have a 30%, 70% split with a sidebar on the right. And then 60-40 is kind of a new design, and 25, and then they have these other ones down here. Let's say we wanted to add just a normal one column row. So we'll click on it. And then the next thing Divi is going to do is ask you what kind of a module you want to add. So let's recreate this module here, which is the coaching services. So this is a text module. I know because I've been using Divi a lot. And then this is another row with 4 blurb modules. So we're going to recreate these things real quick, just to show you how this all works and how fast this can be. So in the row module, we're going to add a text block and then just hit check for now. And we're going to add the content. So we're going to label it My Coaching Services and add some default text. So we'll leave the default text as default text, but let's add a title, My Coaching Services. Just to show you how this stuff is handled. So we're going to probably take this and make this a heading tag. I would recommend, unless it's the title of the page, to use an H2. And there we have it. So that's your title tag. Now, why doesn't it look as good as this? Because we haven't set up fonts and styling. So if you are using a default, a good way to learn is to actually click into the default, the module gear icon to see the default settings, or not the default, but what they've programmed. And you'll see that this is an H2, as I recommended. And then over here, if you hover over it on the right-hand side, you'll see these little blue paintbrush icons. And if you click on it, it's going to click over on the left-hand side to show you what they've changed. So the H2, they've changed the heading font to Playfair Display. They've changed the weight to bold. They've changed the sizing to 40 pixels and the line height to 1.5 M. M stands for the height of the letter M, so the size of a capital letter. So it's 1.5 times, so like it's the equivalent of like 1.5 line spacing instead of double spacing in like a Word document. And I think that's it. If you're confused about what they have and haven't changed, Divi also has this amazing feature up here where you can show view modified styles, and it will only show you everything that's been changed. So this is the text. The text they've changed to 16 pixels and a 1.9 M line height, which is almost double, and they've centered it. And then they've changed the heading font stuff here. And then they've changed the module alignment so that it's centered. Otherwise, it will default to the left, which you don't want. So it's centered for this particular design, at least. And that's it. So that's everything that they have changed. So you can go ahead and replicate that stuff if you wanted to duplicate it on your own over here. Or you could just duplicate this if you were to duplicate it by hitting the clone duplicate module, just like so. And duplicating it allows you to keep all those stylings and just change the text as needed. So if you hit that gear icon again, you'll see the content. So instead of My Coaching Services, you could call it Your Coaching Philosophy. And then in the text down here, you can just highlight it and edit it. My Coaching Philosophy, I believe that people need coaches because coaches make life better. Or whatever your coaching philosophy is. And then you hit the green check box down here to save the changes. And you can delete your other one because you don't need it anymore. And you're good to go. So that's how you would recreate it, by duplicating it. Otherwise, you could just go in and manually plug in those things that are modified in the one you created down here. But I don't need to do that right now because it's actually designed quite well. So I'll delete this, and then I'll hit the blue, the delete icon in the blue section to delete it here. So what I would do is, if this was close enough to what I wanted, I would probably just go in for this homepage, change the professional coaching tab to say what I wanted it to, change the background image to what I want, and I'll show you how to do that. So let's see. So this happens sometimes, by the way. So here's a Divi tip. If you are dealing with a module and suddenly you clicked into it, you can type and change it. The problem is to then change some of the other features. It's like, well, where's the gear icon thing? So one thing you're going to want to do if that happens to you is just to click a gear icon of something else, hit the checkbox, and that kind of resets it here. So now you have that gearbox again. So here's your little gearbox for your module settings. And under the design tab, you'll see all the design features. But ironically, the one design tab that's not listed is usually the background image. That's for some reason kept on its own thing in the content. So in the background here on Divi, they have 4 different types of backgrounds. They have a solid color background, which is not, I think this is set to white right now. Sometimes it's set to transparent as default. I believe this is, right now it's probably set to transparent, yeah. So then they have a gradient, which they've selected this like light grayish blue to blue, and they changed the direction at 220 degrees, so it has that nice angle moving up and down. And then they added a photo. Or they didn't. Ooh, interesting. See, this is what I love about Divi, is you don't know exactly how they've done everything. So this photo of the guy is actually not in the background, which surprises me. So we're going to have to look at where it is. And this is something that you have to do once in a while. So let's see what, well, first of all, what kind of module is this? This is a full width header module. So under the, I found it. So under the module, they've selected the color of the background for the full width header. Under the background of the section, they've put the background of the guy. So here's the module, and here is the section. So if we click on the section and the background, you'll see in the photo, there's the photo of the guy right there. You can also have video backgrounds, which are pretty complicated, but definitely have a cool flair to them. So those are the 4 types. You can have a photo, a gradient, just a color background, or a video background, and you can change them here. So let's say you didn't want to use this guy, you could just delete him. You can add another one by selecting a file from your computer. Or if there's already one in the media library, I'll just use one as a demo for now. So let's say you wanted to use this. We'll upload that, and boom, you'll see it's right there. They have some other options as well. You can use a parallax effect, which means when I scroll, it goes at a slightly different speed than the text in front of it. And they have 2 options for that, true parallax and CSS. So CSS looks a little different. True parallax is a little slower. And then you can turn it off altogether so it sticks with the text. And then they have where you want to position the background and all that kind of stuff. You just kind of have to click in and play with these. But the beauty of Divi, again, is that some of these templates are just so close to what you want that you can kind of leave it. I mean, this is excellent looking. If I came to this website and I didn't know it was a Divi site, I would think that they hired someone to make this because it is pretty polished. Over here, you'll see that these are what are called blurbs. And the way these work is they have icons and text underneath them. And you can hit the little paintbrush to see what color they are. And under the content, there's a bunch of default blurb icons to choose from. In this particular one, they've also done a really interesting effect where they've changed the background colors of each blurb, which is right here. So under their background color, they had this gradation, which is kind of nice. I haven't seen this done in a while. So as you can see, there's just a lot of really great modules that they've added here. If you wanted to edit some of these FAQs, I would click on them and you'll kind of figure out, a lot of this is intuitive. Click on it, click on the gear icon. Here's the content you can edit. You know, what is business coaching? We're going to change that to business coaching is everything. Stop asking questions. And I misspelled it, so I'm going to respell it right, and then hit check, and it's done. And you can do that for each one of your content sections. The way to do this quickly, if you're not a WordPress developer, in my opinion, is to look at the existing themes that Divi has, see which modules are the best for your business, and then write them down either longhand or on like a Google Doc or a Word file. Write down all your content and say, okay, instead of professional coaching, we're going to put business consulting. And then we need a subtitle. So instead of for business owners and entrepreneurs, you're going to say, you know, it's business consulting for the tech industry and tech-based startups. And then instead of make an appointment and about me, you're going to put schedule a consult. And instead of about me, you're going to put about us. So you're going to rewrite the content. You might have to change some colors, but use what's there. This is something that WordPress designers do as professionals all the time. We like to take shortcuts, and if someone has spent the time making a beautiful looking template to use, we'll try to modify it to make it personal enough that it's unique, but we don't want to reinvent the wheel. Oftentimes I will start with a Divi template just as a starting point. I have gotten personally fast enough that I can create one from scratch pretty quickly, and I know which modules I like for which type of industry. So I'd say it's about 50-50 for me. Like half the time I'm creating something from absolute blank page, and half the time I'm using a template as a starter point. But this is how you do it. You'd go through and you make edits to this page, and then you'd go through and kind of keep going. Now, if you didn't want a section, like let's say you didn't want the services section up here, you wanted to make that on its own page, all you'd have to do is delete that section, and now suddenly you have your FAQs that's scooted up. A couple things I do want to point out: you can copy and paste entire sections or entire rows. So if you wanted to copy this entire about section, you can just I think it's, right click on somewhere on the blue bar, and you'll see this flyout kind of pop up, and all you'd have to do is hit copy section. And then over here, when you wanted, let's say you wanted to paste something really similar under the FAQs, you go to that blue button and you right click again and you hit paste section. And it's pasted right there. So now you have two instances of that section and you can edit them independently. So this is the way I would build the Divi homepage if I was new to it. I would go in, I would make changes, and I would stick to their look. If you start messing with the way things look too much, if you changing colors is fine, changing fonts is obviously fine, but if you start saying, well, instead of 2 columns, I want 3, so I'm going to click on this column thing over here, and I'm going to make it 3 columns. Suddenly, it just doesn't really work, because now this image is small, and like, what are you going to put over here? Like a text box. It's going to look a little strange just to have a weird text box. And then like, oh no, Divi did this thing on the template where there's this margin or padding on the right. I want to get rid of it now. So if you're going to start really getting custom, I would encourage you to just start playing with your own customizations of the Divi site. I'm going to show you the real quick way that I do that. I typically will add a section and a row, and then I will play with the padding right away. So let's add a new section myself. So we'll click on regular, and we have a regular section that will pop up, and then I'm going to put a row of 3, and in the row of 3 I'm going to add a blurb. And instead of the photo, we're going to add an image icon, a use icon. And I'm running through this quickly because this is stuff that you kind of have to play around with if you're going to start customizing it extensively, but you'll get the idea of how it's all done. So I'm going to duplicate these little 2 squares, duplicate them in place instead of copying and pasting. That's another great Divi feature. And then I'm just going to drag them into the section I want. Drag this over here. And now I have a section that looks really good. I might want to change the background though. So I'm going to change the background color to something like a bluish gray. So I'll click on blue, and then I'll kind of click and drag in here and change the fadedness, something like that. That's the opacity down. Obviously, this is introducing a green to a blue color scheme, so you'd have to kind of think it out. I do have a video coming up, if it's not out already, on creating an amazing color palette for your website and setting those defaults in Divi, so be sure to check that out as well. But as you can see, it's already looking good. One of the things I want to point out is the padding and margin, and it's really useful. I've used it almost the most out of any Divi thing. So if you click and drag, if you just kind of hover over the section that has, until you get this blue kind of faded bar, you'll see you have 47 pixels of padding, and then you have this link, this broken chain thing. If you click on that chain, that makes sure that the bottom and top are consistent. So now they're both at 47, and let's say I want to add some more room. Already that's starting to look better. Good design is about having enough breathing space that the eye is guided down a page without feeling overwhelmed. So having a good amount of padding to where the eye feels like this isn't hard to digest, I can understand all this, that's good design practice. The other thing I'll say in terms of Divi design, and this goes for web design in general, you want to vary the style of your sections. So you want to have a section at the top, let's say it's a hero section. In this case, you have one with like a big full image and then one thing on the left. So the next thing you're going to want to do is, instead of having like one thing, you're going to want to have either 2 or 3 things. And if you scroll down, you'll see they have a column of 2. I changed it to 3, but they have a column of 2. So they're breaking it up already from one thing to 2. And then from 2, you can go to 2 again, but maybe switch where the image and text is so that your eye doesn't get confused and there's distinctions. Or you can go back to 1 or switch to like a column of 3. It's just a good practice to mix those up from section to section so that the eyes have something new to look at. So from here, from a column of 2, I would go to 3, then back to 2 with the image on the right. Then you'll notice there's a single column over here. Then you have a row of 6, it seems, and then back to 1 and then 2. Changing it up that way keeps it visually interesting and gives it a professional polish and allows the user to absorb a lot more information than if it compared to a website that just has everything in 1 column or everything in 2. So that's the basics of how to set up your homepage. You pick an existing theme from Divi, and they have literally hundreds to choose from at this point when you take into account all the pages. And that's pretty much it. You kind of just go in and play. And once you have this in a place you'd like, what you do is you click the green Save button down here in the corner in the right. And when you click Save, you'll see a little spinny wheel that goes round and round, and then it'll eventually, I'm watching in the corner of my eye, I'm watching, it turns into a little check mark. And when that check mark is there, you'll know that the changes have been saved, and you can then exit the visual builder, and your site is live and changed with the things that you've made on the site. So I'm going to click Exit Visual Builder, which is the same place that the Enable Visual Builder was. And once that's clicked, you are essentially done. Your website is live. It has that page live on the internet, and you're good to go. There's obviously a lot more to learn about Divi, but this will get you a really good looking homepage done in as little as 5 minutes. If you have your copy ready to go and you know which layout you'd like, it's just a matter of plopping them in place and calling it a day. It's literally the easiest theme to use that I've ever seen with customization. There are obviously themes out there that are just beautiful right out of the box, and you don't have to touch anything. You just import content, but then you can't change anything. You know, they have really convoluted page builders, or they don't have any page builders at all, or you have to install your own page builder, and it just gets really complicated. Divi doesn't do that. Divi allows you to do kind of whatever you want, and it gives you starting points that are designed by really great professional designers on their team to give you a huge head start. I've been able to design websites using these templates for clients in as little as an hour sometimes. If they're in a real rush and there's a launch or there's a new page they need, it's an amazing time saver. I highly recommend it. And once you've done this, you have a homepage. How exciting is that? You have a homepage. I've always wanted a place to call home on the internet site. And now we have a homepage, and my mission is accomplished. The coolest thing about these templates is that you can create your own. So I actually have a library that I use for my own clients where I've created one with different layouts, and then I can export it and import it into another one. I'll go over that in another video. Again, it kind of goes beyond the scope, and I don't want to take up too much of your time with this simple setup of the homepage, but this is pretty much it. In the next video I'm going to talk about how you customize the header and footer of Divi and set up templates so those headers and footers are consistent on every single page. So let's say you wanted a menu and maybe a button, and maybe you wanted a photo in the menu, or maybe you wanted a menu with a page title and a footer with widgets but different colors and different things. That's something that Divi just released in their most recent update 4.0, and it's probably the most significant update I've seen in Divi since its inception. It's a really exciting thing. I hope you stay tuned for that as well. That about wraps it up. This is a bit of a longer video on how to make a homepage, but there's obviously a lot more to go over. Use those Divi templates, really kind of take advantage of the fact that they've spent hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours, making this Divi theme so incredibly useful and packed with examples. There's literally one for just about every industry you could think of. There's bloggers and fashion designers and freelance writers and car mechanics and kindergartens and preschools and universities and podcasting. They've really tried to come up with as a sample template for just about any industry you can go with. And sometimes you can cross over. So you might like the look and feel of the podcast template, but you want to use it for your blog. You can definitely do that. You just have to change the text, get rid of the audio stuff that they've put in, and you're good to go. I often often do that myself. I'll use the freelance writer template for a local business guy or a business coach, or I'll use the life coach one for a therapist. There are no rules. You are able to use these in any way that you see fit. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the YouTube comments or hit me up at WPJon.com and let me know how I can help. Until next time, have a great one.